Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on Works on the Web, where we invite thought leaders and subject matter experts to discuss their ideas and creative content. Today, we have Jodi Womack, CEO of the Get Momentum Leadership Academy. She is an author, professional speaker, and Jodi also has a coaching program that provides women business leaders with professional networking expertise. Welcome, Jodi Womack.
Thanks so much for having me. Glad to be here.
So tell me, how did you get started in leadership coaching? What inspired you to help others move forward, whether it's with their career or lifestyle?
I actually started in the time management and organizational training space. And what happened was I found people got very involved with organizing their space and being really diligent about their inbox, but not as much planning and attention to where they were pointing all of this greatness. And so it's great to have an organized space and an organized inbox that's emptied out every once in a while. But unless you're really clear about what you're trying to do, it's a lot of wasted effort. It's a lot of effort spent on things that don't really move the mission forward. So this idea of leadership training, leadership coaching, leading ourselves so that we can help lead others, that's really what's fun and juicy, and where so much of my attention goes, is to help people realize what it is that they need to be working on in a much bigger way.
That is awesome. What are some trends you have observed in your community in regards to hardship?
For me, it's been firsthand. I recently moved to Alabama from California with my husband about a year and a half ago. And right about then, my parents were starting to go through some health challenges, and they're in California. So being 2,500 miles away, I've been traveling up until March of this year. I traveled once a month back to California. But recently, with the lockdown and coronavirus and everything, I've been at home. And my mom recently had an emergency ER visit, and I couldn't be there. My dad couldn't go with her, and it was terrifying at our core. And I really found that I needed to be very clear and outcome focused of what I needed. And it was actually 2 weeks ago from today that I went on Facebook and I said, I am begging for help. Does anybody know anybody who works in this hospital in Pasadena? Because I need eyes on my mom. And it was a way of rallying my network, of calling in favors, of really being, I was very angry about all the rules about not being able to go have someone go with her because she's not able to speak on her own. And within 30 minutes, I had somebody who said, I'm a nurse up on the 7th floor, but I'll go down to the ER. Tell me about your mom. And I just think in these days, like having a clear focus of what I wanted was someone to be there and watch over my mom like I wish I could have. And just the kindness of strangers and loose connections and people within our network, we can change and improve the quality of each other's lives if we let each other know how and what kind of help we need. So I think hardship is extremely personal. We have no idea what people are dealing with on the other side of the Zooms or the telecom meetings that we're having. We don't know how many kids they've got at home and they're trying to homeschool, how many devices, how fast their Wi-Fi is. All of this mundane little stuff that can add up to a lot of stress and anxiety in people's homes.
That is wow.
It's a lot, right? Like we have no idea. You look like you're in a professional setting right now. You've got the whiteboard behind you. Are you at MGM Werx?
Yes, I'm currently at MGM Werx right now in the Galaxy room. So I came over for the interview.
Very good. Well, thank you. And I think a lot of people are having like these split lives where sometimes they work from home, sometimes they work in the office, and then you've got to figure out the routines. If you do need to leave the house, what happens to everybody else that's here? I'm currently mentoring a girl in California through a nonprofit that I'm actively involved with. And she's a senior in high school. She just took her AP exam for chemistry, while she's also taking care of her 5-year-old brother because both of her parents work and outside the home. And so whether we're talking about kids, teens, or coworkers, we have no idea unless we let each other into each other's lives what's really going on. I can't imagine as a teenager trying to take one of these big exams that's going to have an impact on my career, her college career and classes and points and credits and all that good stuff, while also taking care of a little kid that wants his device and wants his attention. And I think we're asking people to do all kinds of new skills and behaviors that we never thought we'd be in the situation.
That's true. And it's also important to recognize when to have like self-care, that difference between work life, because it's all muddled together. We have our work life, we have our home life, and then we have work and home life together. And so, how do you establish self-care? What are some concepts to take into action when dealing with all of those things, plus and maintaining your self-dignity and things like that?
Yeah. And I think it starts with knowing yourself and taking care of yourself so you can help take care of others. If you are on empty, the way you behave and interact with people is going to be impacted, right? If you're exhausted, not well fed, not well hydrated, you haven't moved. And so really this idea of self-care is knowing yourself and what kind of support you need. There's a lot of personality assessments out there. So you may be an introvert or an extrovert. I think the stay-at-home orders have really challenged so many of us, whether we're I'm an introvert, my husband's an extrovert. So for me, not having any alone space in the house, and for him, not having enough interactions. Like we're all being impacted in different ways, and learning and understanding that. So for me, sometimes I go for walks by myself. I just need 20 minutes of quiet and alone. And for him, we do a lot of happy hours and Zoom social times so that he gets that kind of interaction from more and more people. So really knowing yourself so that you can do that kind of self-care, because what's good for me might not be good for you or what you're looking for. And so you've got to really think about what would make you feel more relaxed, more balanced, and be able to come in and be a better version of yourself, because that's what the world needs. That's what your family at home needs. And that's what the world needs in our workspaces.
Wow. Guys, if you have not had a chance to check out Jodi's LEDX speech, it is located on YouTube. And in the video, she talks about the importance of sharing our stories, having compassion, and building a team, which is also a part of the self-care concept. So, Jodi, how do you adjust to opening up and sharing what's happening behind the scenes in your life, as well as taking consideration of self-care?
First of all, you need to be selective about who you're sharing with and why. It's not about oversharing or trying to outdo other people's stories, but letting your team know if you've got challenges at home or certain requirements. I've been doing some coaching with people who say they're waking up at 4:30 in the morning so they can have a quiet, uninterrupted work time before their kids and family wake up, because they just aren't available to give their full attention once the household starts. And so it really starts with these open-ended questions like, how are you today? How are you holding up? Not just assuming that everybody has the same scenario. I think when we all used to go to offices, we all just sort of assumed like, well, you leave your personal life at home and you come to work, and then when you leave, you go back to it. But like you mentioned, we're blended. We're working from home. People may be homeschooling. And then when school is over, you can't send kids to camp right now, at least not as far as I'm concerned that I've heard. So what do you do with kids once the official curriculum is done and you need to be the fun director. So people are dealing with and managing so much in among this certain uncertainty is how I've been hearing it called. So how do we stay socially connected while physically distancing? How do we make plans in a time of uncertainty? And I don't have the answers for you, but I believe that these types of topics need our attention. In the book, the Get Momentum book, we write about this 30-30 rule, which is giving yourself 30 minutes a day to look up and out 30 days from now. And what that does is it helps us get out of this constantly being behind in this catch-up mode of, just doing what's due right now or this week. And it gives us a little bit of grace to look into the future and say, what's coming? What got canceled that we were anticipating? What could we renegotiate? Like looking up and out so you know what you've already agreed to. So much of this on our calendar, we've already said yes to, which is great because we know what that is. However, there's a lot coming at us that we don't know what it's going to be. The changes in government, the changes in scheduling with clients, all that good stuff. So how do we control the controllables, which is what I've said yes to on my calendar, look up and out, give myself some time to work on things. This will let me delegate. This will let me renegotiate or cancel things. Just delete them entirely if it's no longer relevant for the way the world is right now. But we can't do that if it's right on us and we're waiting until it's due this week. Giving yourself that buffer of 30 days or more is where you can really start to see a difference in your work-life balance and just getting a sense of control of the projects going around, whether that's personal or work or community projects even.
I will definitely take some of that advice, considering the work-life balance and trying to figure out the 30 days ahead. Wow, I really never thought of that for real. Let's see.
Well, and I'll give you a little hint for that too. Ask yourself, what will I wish I had started working on sooner? I went through my stationery and picked up some cards, and I'm trying to send out cards to people that have been influential in my life, super supportive. And it's like, are there birthdays coming? Are there special events coming? Are there milestones in their lives and their careers that I could be anticipating if I knew it were coming? So often I'll get a little birthday notice up on Facebook. It's like, somebody's birthday is today, but it's too late. Like, yeah, I can send them a text or send them or call them, which I think is special. Most people aren't getting calls and letters in the mail today. And it's that personalized attention that I think people are craving for right now. Genuine, authentic, loving attention. And there's no other way than using that L word, the loving, whether it's coworkers, clients, vendors. Now is the time to really take care of our people and have an impact. We may not be able to do business as usual, but we can show up as genuine, authentic, loving people that care. And I think there's a lot of value. And that's not a marketing plan or a business development scheme. That is just what's necessary right now, is that we take care of ourselves and take care of one another in a whole new way.
Wow, that is true. Taking care of yourself and maintaining being at your best. So I remember on your LEDx speech, you mentioned to identify when you're at your best. Can you share with the audience how to identify that? What are some tips and tricks to keep in mind?
Yeah, I think now more than ever, with the world changing as it has, what helps you be at your best may have changed. So more alone time, more socializing time. You can get a blank sheet of paper and write, I am at my best when. And then just start filling in that prompt with all kinds of things. Think about your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual selves, right? Like all dimensions of you, personally, professionally, community-wise. How do you show up in the world? And it's everything from. My husband and I have a rule. We've been working together for over 20 years and hanging out for 27. And we have some rules, like no talking about business before my first cup of coffee is complete. Right? So I need one moment in the morning where I'm just enjoying my coffee. And after that, we can launch into the day. But how much nutrition, how much hydration, what are the ingredients that you need? Working from home, I'm hearing all kinds of friends, especially girlfriends, sharing about grazing and how hard that is when food and snacks and things are always right there. And how do you maintain a healthy habit of what meal times mean and what healthy snacks mean, and how do you sustain it? Because it's easy to do the first day, but then day 75, how do you still go for the apples and not the chips or the cookies, right? And so building in these routines that support one another for being at our best. I'm at my best when I move and get my blood flowing before I jump on email. I'm finding I can sit here 6, 8, 10 hours a day, and it flies by certain days, back-to-back Zoom call meetings, things like that. So I know I need to get out and move. I need to schedule breaks so that I stand up and move, rest my eyes. People talk about this screen fatigue, and that's really a thing where our eyes get tired, our brain gets tired. How do we get up and move and rejuvenate ourselves so that we come back, we're fresh, and we can have access to all of our ideas?
Wow.
So I hope you do that. I hope you do that I'm at my best when list, because there's a lot of great
down. Because
you're writing it down. I love it. Yeah, so we've got the 30-30 rule, which is 30 minutes on something that isn't due for 30 days or more. And then the I'm at my best when list. And for me, I'm at my best when I see my parents every day. So I'm doing video chats with an 82-year-old guy with his hearing aid that's connected into his iPhone. It's truly amazing at what's possible and how people are learning and embracing technology and stepping up. Make the list and let it be unreasonable. At least you know where you're starting from. For me, I am at my best when I get 8 hours of sleep, 8 or 9, actually. So how do I do that? I need to start anticipating that early in the evening so that I can get to bed by 9 o'clock. That doesn't happen at 9 o'clock. I can't start thinking about that. So giving yourself your gift of your own attention so that you can set up the scenarios, set up the criteria to help you be at your best is really going to be helpful in making these things a habit, because all of our routines and habits may have been disrupted by the quarantining and the staying at home and having colleagues that may not be as reliable or in the same situation as they were just 2 months ago, just a couple minutes, as of early March of 2020.
All right. So, Jodi, I have a question. What are some of the differences you observe when working with military groups versus civilian groups?
First of all, I am new to working with military groups. Last couple of 4 years, I've been doing workshops, and that's always fun because the people that have come to Air University are the top of their group, and they are motivated and inspired to learn. What I've been learning lately is they're somewhat used to having their lives disrupted by outside forces. And I think civilians, this is a whole new world. And I think that adds to why some of them are behaving badly or not following rules. I think the military folks are used to rules, whether they agree with them or not. They understand that that's just how things are right now. So I think that's the strength that military folks have, is that they respect the command and control idea of this is a rule and this is how we're going to play, and moving right along. And they don't spend any energy fighting against it. Civilians, they're a little, what's the right word? Misbehaving in some ways. What I do find is when I work with small business owners and solopreneurs, they are savvy. They work 24 hours a day. They need, when they pull up by their bootstraps and they know they need to make something happen in order to stay in business, they don't follow the rules of Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. And so I've seen that, like that commitment. And the military folks have their commitment as well. So I don't mean to downplay that. However, I see them in the workplace having much clearer boundaries and respecting those, like this is family time, this is family day, that sort of thing. And the business owners that I know, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's Sunday afternoon, if the website goes down or something, a request comes in from a client, they're answering that phone call, they're answering that email immediately. So I think that both groups can learn a lot from one another, and it really depends on what the needs are. But focusing on positive outcomes is where I think all of us can really move the mission forward and support one another in what we're trying to accomplish, and not bickering or arguing about the technology or the rules or anything else. Like I mentioned with my mom in the hospital, I was very, very upset that somebody couldn't accompany a woman, an elder person with dementia. And just inside of me, it just seemed wrong on every single level. But there was nothing good going to come out of me fighting against the rules that were. What I needed was someone to go and hold my mom's hand and tell me she was safe and being cared for. So I think the sooner we get on board with what our clear outcome is that we're going for, the sooner we can be way more productive, way more efficient, and way more impactful in how we communicate and show up in the world, even if it is digitally.
Speaking about people and like our human nature, how sometimes we're different at work and different when we're at home, and strict and not so strict. Tell me something that's true about us humans that almost nobody agrees with you on.
For as much as we all want to look good and be our best, there is something really beautiful about the messy stuff. And I think when we show up vulnerably and share the messiness going on, or the 6 kids running around in chaos, there's something compassionate that connects us in that way. When we don't know all the context behind the other person's actions, behaviors, language, we may take it wrong. We may not understand why they're so short, why they're so angry, why they're so snappy. But the moment we see behind the curtain and all that they're managing, all that they're dealing with, there's a bit of humanity that comes up. We can all take this deep sigh, this big breath, and reach out with a little bit more kindness. Like, oh, I see you got a lot going on. How about we don't schedule meetings at lunchtime? How about we do it at 4 o'clock or at 10 o'clock or a non-meal time to accommodate what it is that you've got going on? This is not business as usual. This is not, show up in your business hat and draw lines between personal and professional. There really is going to need to be some compassion and humanity as we go forward, and especially when we're working with people, managing a lot of people at home, or levels of stress or levels of health. If people aren't healthy, that's going to impact their workflow as well. So really getting to know one another, check in on a personal level so that we know what the other people are dealing with, will really go a long way with how effective we can be as a community and as a business.
All of that are some valuable lessons and takeaways that people can use after this interview, and just to recognize some of those things and really take into account of how people are during this time, especially. So great advice. I really appreciate that. You have accomplished so much in your career thus far. If you were to change anything, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would like to be a dolphin trainer. Yeah.
What a dolphin trainer?
I think dolphins are the happiest thing in the world, and And if I weren't doing what I were doing right now, I think that's what, dolphins don't live in poor neighborhoods. They tend to live where you can see the ocean and beautiful environments. And I don't know, just finding something that brings pure joy. That's something I think we all need more of in our lives.
That is beautiful. Oh, I would not have thought of that. Wow. I really love dolphins and sea animals and things like that. So I can relate. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for the folks out there who want to know more about Jodi, how can they get in touch with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I think that's the best place to connect. I'm happy to continue the conversation and go from there. Thanks.